1024 relating to education establishes a Cannabinoid Medicine Program for University wide to be administered by the John A. Burns School of Medicine. And to testify on this is Jerry Hedges in opposition, Cliff Otto in support. Mr. Otto, how are you?
Good afternoon, Chair. Very fine, thank you. Chair, Vice Chair, thank you for the opportunity to testify on this measure, SB1024.
I just want to say that you recommended this. I introduced this measure, so thank you for being here to testify on it.
Oh, thank you.
Go
Would
ahead.
you like me to proceed with my testimony?
Yes, please.
Great. So I'm in strong support of this measure for a number of reasons. And one of them is that I think that it just makes sense from a medical and educational perspective. We've had a medical cannabis program for 21 years and still don't have really proper representation at the medical school. And I think a lot of if there's an issue with cannabis that's directed to the medical school, it's usually taken up by professors in the addiction department. And I don't think this really fully represents the potential of the study of cannabinoid medicine. I can see how maybe one of the concerns of the committee and perhaps the medical school is the current situation with the federal conflict with the regulation of marijuana, and that having programs like this might somehow jeopardize that kind of funding. I would point you to the state of Iowa, which addressed this issue last year. The legislature had concerns about funding being held from educational facilities because of medical cannabis patients using cannabis on site. And they mandated their Department of Public Health to come up with a solution for this conflict. And they came up with the idea of a federal exemption that is now waiting the governor of Iowa's approval. And that's why I included this particular amendment in my testimony today. If there is a concern that this program would somehow put the university at risk of losing federal funding, then this would be a way to address that concern. And perhaps this is such a substantive change that it would require a proposed SD1. I'll leave that up to you. But in any case, I'm hoping that this new program will allow the school to fulfill the mission of the original medical cannabis bill, which was to make Hawaii an international center for research and treatment for medical cannabis.
Thank you very much. We have Wendy Gibson also in support, and Thaddeus Pham also in support. Anyone else wishing to testify? If not, I do have a question for you, Mr. Otto. So JABSOM is saying that JABSOM already employs faculty with expertise in substance abuse, which includes marijuana, THC. And JABSOM also has both an addiction psychiatry fellowship and a separate fellowship in addiction medicine. It has existing curriculum throughout all 4 years of medical school and its residency and fellowship programs that addresses substance abuse. And so basically they're saying that they don't need this. In light of the curriculum and other faculty activities already in existence which provide education and training, we believe that creating another separate course of study would duplicate JABSOM's current educational efforts in the field. Do you agree with that?
Well, I would say that, and one word that I keep hearing is this word abuse and psychiatry. This, unfortunately, is currently the way medical cannabis is being approached by the medical school. It's all about addiction and abuse. And we have nearly 30,000 patients who are registered under state authorization to engage in the use of cannabis for medical purposes. And their needs and their outcomes are not being addressed currently. And so I believe that the school needs to have what you could call a certified cannabinoid medicine specialist, meaning somebody who's been certified by an accrediting board in the United States, and there are at least one that I know of, that currently offer certification in the cannabinoid medicine specialty area. And so I believe that the medical school needs to have a staff member who is an expert in this field to be properly represented at the medical school, especially with the number of patients who are using medical cannabis, and especially with the research potential in this field, I was hearing a lot about need for revenue at the medical school and the cancer center. And I think there's a huge potential for research in this area if we can just do something to get rid of this conflict with the federal regulation of marijuana, which I think the state is well within its authority to do something about.
Okay, thank you. Members, questions? Senator Agaran, question? Senator Favela? If not, okay, thank you very much. We are going to move
Thank you.
on.